I know what you're thinking. Adam, this is the Batman that single-handedly stops like a third of his own rogues gallery over the course of a single night using nothing but his bare fists.
Okay, batarangs and bat claws included, of course, but you know what I mean.
Did I mention that this happens not just once or twice over the course of his career, but 5 times that we know of, assuming you count Origins Blackgate? Like, he takes on dozens of criminals at a time and manages to take on another dozen criminals after that, and maybe even 2 dozen criminals after that, and he manages to render them all unconscious with relative ease. Like, how is he not the best Batman? As a vigilante who beats people up, Arkham Batman is amazing. But that's the problem. Although Arkham Batman does save people somewhat regularly, that's kind of mostly what he does. He just beats the shit out of the people that he finds in these cities. I feel like I can list on my fingers the amount of people he saved in City, right? It was like the nurses, Quincy Sharp that one time. And even when he does save people, he doesn't really seem to care too much for them. He almost just interrogates them and then uses them to move forward with what he needs to do, which is kind of respectful. He's usually on a pretty tight clock when he's in the Arkham games, but man, it'd be nice if he wasn't so cold to these people. I mean, think about the amount of people he beat up in comparison. Holy shit, that's insane. I've never thought of it like that. I mean, it's obvious, but when you put it like that, it's kind of wild. It's kind of been a running gag for years that, I mean, if he's not killing some of these people, he's certainly ruining their lives and permanently crippling them. It's have you seen the clip with the electric box? I mean, you've certainly done this to a person when you play Knight, right? It's super badass, but also that dude is dead. One of the biggest things that's always grinded my gears about Arkham Batman was one of his very first lines in Arkham Asylum, and it was right after he take down Victor Zsasz. He just calls him an animal.
Someone put this animal back in his cell.
What? That does not seem very heroic, Bruce. It doesn't seem like you're viewing these people as people, obviously. You're kind of calling them animals. Okay, that seems obvious now that I say it out loud. Again, so many obvious things. But for some reason, he's still a really good Batman, even though these are really obvious things. Anyway, next! Another moment that shows that Arkham Batman is not a great Batman was one that I didn't even realize until very recently, funny enough. The ending of Arkham City when he goes to save Talia instead of the entirety of Arkham City, who's currently being destroyed by missiles from helicopters. And Bruce, his first thought is, no, I need to save Talia. And I didn't think about it at first. I was kind of just well, he's been a hero the whole time. He's got to go save the girl, right? That's a part of the story. Save the girl. But also, you're throwing the whole mission away if you do that, dude. You're letting all these innocent people, well, they're not innocent, actually. Some of them are. The political prisoners, maybe. But, you know what I mean. You're letting all these people die just to go save one person. That's very selfish. Don't even get me started on the people Bruce literally abducted in Arkham Knight. Should we even get started on how Tim Drake is treated pretty much throughout the entire series? I mean, he has one appearance in City, and he gets treated like dog shit. Bruce tells him to fuck off, basically. In Arkham Knight, it's, he gets shoved in a cage. He gets shoved in a crate. And, yeah, that's that. I almost feel like Arkham Batman is just so cold and so inhuman. It's almost as if Bruce actually fell for the Killing Joke's idea that one bad day can reduce the sanest man alive to lunacy. Because although he's not a complete lunatic, he certainly doesn't seem like a very sane human being from the outside. We all know he's a rich man that dresses up in a bat costume and goes out to beat up criminals, right? Even on a surface level, that doesn't seem very sane. But then even in relation to Arkham Batman, he doesn't seem to care about most people. I feel like this can be displayed in his side characters, especially. I mean, we already talked about Tim, but let's not even get started on Barbara or Jim. I feel like even Alfred, they all get pushed to the sidelines. And I mean, of course, it's partially because you're playing as Bruce. And it's not just that these characters get pushed to the side, it's that they don't really have any depth. They don't really get to do anything of interest. I think Alfred has one moment in Arkham Origins where he inspires Bruce a little bit because he says he needs allies, and then the rest of the games, they're kind of just tools for Bruce. They just exist for him to use. Again, let's compare all this with what I think is probably the best interpretation of the Batman character. When I watched the animated series for the first time, I remember thinking just how terrible the Batman was in that series. In comparison to the Arkham franchise, I mean, he had nothing going for him. I remember watching the first episode with Scarecrow and thinking about all the things Arkham Batman would have done differently. For starters, he would have had zero trouble dealing with two thugs and Scarecrow. But this is in stark contrast with the fact that Arkham Batman doesn't seem to care for the criminal that he beats to a pulp. There are some occasions where empathy is shown, sure, like how he calls the villains by their first names and, you know, the fact that he doesn't just murder them, supposedly. But usually it seems more like Bruce is a man on a mission to stop criminals almost at any cost rather than actually helping them. The Arkham interpretation of Batman reminds me a lot of the Robert Pattinson interpretation before the ending of the movie. It seems like Bruce is still doing this out of a selfish need for vengeance, rather than knowing that inspiring hope would be better for Gotham's future. And for his future, too. The animated series also fleshes out every character exponentially more, to the extent that his side characters almost feel like main characters. There are episodes for characters like Harvey Bullock and Adam West's Simon Trent have nearly as much screen time as Batman, if not more. Arkham characters rarely get any form of the spotlight unless they're playable, and even then, most of them still just get pushed to the sidelines. I mean, like, Nightwing didn't even have a voice actor. And I mean, they don't even have cool feats. None of the Arkham characters have accomplished anything of interest outside of the Joker. All that he has is that he got stopped by Batman, but almost didn't a couple times. Not really. Like, all of them just got beat by Batman. A prime example of this is Nightwing, who, like I said, didn't have a voice actor, but also got his ass beat by Harley Quinn. It's like, what? The power levels in this universe make zero sense. It's Batman over literally everybody else, and apparently Harley Quinn is right below him somehow, I guess. To be fair, though, they don't really give Arkham Batman a chance to take off his mask and actually be Bruce Wayne. And when he does, he never feels like the same Bruce Wayne that we get to see in the animated series. He's not playful and funny and charismatic. He's dark and brooding and rarely has the chance to do anything but take the world seriously. Every time we catch up with him in these games, his entire world is falling apart and he's basically the only one who can fix it. The only way he can fix it is by brutally beating criminals for hours on end until he's literally taken on a city's worth of them. I guess Arkham Batman being a good character might just be subjective. It might depend on what you look for in your ideal version of the character. Maybe you love his ability and near addiction to stop at nothing to achieve anything he sets his mind to. Maybe you look up to Bruce's physical prowess and wish to achieve a physical state that could even make you feel a fraction of the power he feels when he puts on that cowl. Maybe you wish for the ability to overcome loss or trauma as he can and forge it into something not that hurts you, but something you can use to help other people through similar feelings. But one thing I think I look up to Batman for the most is his ability to help people. Not by stopping the bad guy or beating the shit out of the mugger in the alley, but for the times he reminds us that under that cowl, he's still a man. The times he shows mercy to those that most people would have no problem burying 6 feet under. Not for some need for them to rot in a cell, or a need for vengeance, or a selfish need to keep from killing people, but because he believes that they're all just like him. A boy in an alley who can overcome their trauma, and that just maybe they can use that trauma to protect others from ever feeling the same way.
One thing I gotta know. How'd you stay with me all day, risking your butt for someone who's never given you anything but trouble?
I know what it's like to try and rebuild a life. I had a bad day too, once.